Ever feel like you're drowning in information these days? Articles, videos, books. It's like, how do you even keep up?
Right. It's information overload.
Exactly. And that's why we do these deep dives, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of cut through the noise and get to the heart of things.
Absolutely.
And today, we're tackling Cait Flanders' The Year of Less.
Oh, such a good one.
We've got a whole stack of sources for this one. YouTube videos, blog posts, podcast interviews.
Even some book reviews, right?
Yeah, we went deep.
We did.
But our mission here, as always, is to distill it all down, give you those key takeaways, those aha moments.
And, see how it might apply to our own lives. Because it's not just a personal finance book, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about so much more.
So much more. We're going to explore how Cait's year-long shopping ban kind of sparked this ripple effect, changing her relationship with not just money, but her time, her stuff, even her emotions. By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a really clear picture of what Cait learned, and more importantly, how those lessons might apply to you. Could you benefit from a year of less? That's the question we're going to be exploring. So let's start with Cait's backstory, where it all began. It's interesting. She actually grew up in a family that was really financially savvy.
I know, right? Like they even had these Flanders family finance meetings.
Flanders family finance meetings. Can you imagine?
Intense.
You think that would set someone up for success, wouldn't you?
You would think.
But as we know, life throws curveballs.
It does.
And even with a solid financial foundation, you can still end up struggling. And that's what's so relatable about Cait's story. Despite this upbringing, she found herself, as an adult, overspending, battling alcohol dependence, actually.
It's like personal finance is truly personal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
And it really makes you wonder how many of us are just blindly following these societal norms around spending without ever really stopping to examine, why are we doing this? What are our own habits? What are our motivations?
That's so true.
Yeah. So for Cait, this wake-up call, it actually came from a surprising source.
Yeah.
Her 20-year-old sister.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the book, she describes how her sister casually mentioned, spending a chunk of money on a new camera. And everyone kind of freaked out a little bit. Save your money, you're a student, that kind of thing.
Oh, I can imagine.
But the sister's response was really unexpected. She's like, oh no, I save 20% of my income consistently, so I feel good about spending the rest on things I value.
Wow.
And for Cait, hearing that was like this major aha moment.
It's so simple, but so profound, isn't it?
It is. Here she is at 29, earning a good salary, struggling to save, and her younger sister, a part-time student, was hitting that 20% goal with ease. It must have been like this light bulb moment, wait a minute, what am I doing? So this became this turning point for her, and that's where the idea for the shopping ban took root.
Okay, so let's talk about this shopping ban. No shopping for an entire year. But what did that actually look like? Were there exceptions?
Right, so Cait, being Cait, she approached this very strategically. She actually created 3 lists.
3 lists.
Yeah, so we've got essentials, approved non-essentials, and the dreaded no-buy list. So essentials, pretty straightforward, right? Groceries, toiletries, basic household stuff.
Yeah, you can't exactly go without toilet paper for a year.
Exactly.
Right.
So then we've got approved non-essentials. And this is where she could buy things that she wanted, but there's a catch.
Okay.
They had to be planned in advance, no impulse buys allowed. So it really forced her to evaluate, do I actually want this? Is it worth the wait?
I love that. It just introduces this level of intentionality that I think most of us probably lack when we're just scrolling online or walking through a store.
Yeah, those targeted ads get you every time.
Oh, every time.
And then the final list, the no-buy list. This was a compilation of things that she absolutely could not buy for the entire year. And this list, this was like her kryptonite, her biggest spending triggers. It was all about facing those urges head on.
It sounds tough, but also incredibly empowering, right?
I think so.
Taking control of her spending.
Exactly. And it's important to note, this wasn't about deprivation. It was about being mindful. And a great example of that is Cait actually allowed herself to travel during the ban.
That's interesting. You'd think travel would be off limits with a shopping ban, right? Why make that exception?
I know, but it really highlights her focus on experiences over material possessions. She wanted to invest in memories, adventures, not just stuff.
I see.
So we got the backstory, we got the rules of the ban. Now, what happens next? Well, things get really interesting because while Cait's diligently sticking to this shopping ban, something totally unexpected happens.
What's that?
She starts decluttering her apartment.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not talking about a little spring cleaning here.
Like, how much are we talking?
Hold on to your hats, because this is a big one. She gets rid of a whopping 75% of her belongings.
Wow.
3/4 of everything she owned.
That's a serious purge.
It makes you wonder how much we just accumulate without even realizing it.
That's a good point.
So what do you think prompted this sudden urge to purge, though?
Well, I think it was kind of a natural progression. By stopping the inflow of new stuff, she was suddenly forced to confront, like, the mountain of possessions she already had.
It's true.
It's like she finally had the mental space to see what was truly valuable and what was just taking up space.
Yeah, and it challenges us to question the true value of all the stuff we own. Do we really need all of it?
Right.
But here's another powerful insight that emerged from all of this. It wasn't just about the financial impact of the ban. It was also the impact on Cait's time.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. How did the shopping ban affect her relationship with time?
Well, think about it. How much time do we spend, like, actually shopping, browsing online stores, managing our possessions, organizing, cleaning, repairing?
That's a really good point. It's probably a lot more than we realize.
It's a significant chunk. By eliminating shopping, she reclaimed a huge amount of time, mental energy.
Like a weight lifted.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not just about freeing up time for other activities. It's about having more mental space for things that truly matter. Less stuff, less stress, more clarity.
Absolutely. But there's another layer to this. The ban also forced Cait to confront some deeper emotional issues.
Right. Here's where things get really, really interesting. Tell me more about that.
So Cait is very honest in the book about using shopping, drinking, even television as ways to numb uncomfortable feelings. And I think that's something a lot of us can relate to.
Oh, absolutely. Who hasn't indulged in a little retail therapy after a tough day? But the ban forced her to sit with those feelings.
It wasn't always easy, I imagine.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But it was transformative. It really was.
And we're back, diving deeper into Cait Flanders' The Year of Less. Her journey of self-discovery through, a shopping ban. It's just amazing how, one decision can have this ripple effect.
Yeah.
Leading to all these unexpected changes.
Totally. And one of the things that struck me about Cait's approach was how she kind of challenged that traditional advice of saving a fixed percentage of your income.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, okay, save 20% no matter what.
Uh-huh.
She kind of flipped the script.
Oh, I like this. What was her take?
Well, she focused on figuring out the least amount of money she could live on comfortably.
Okay.
And then by minimizing her expenses, she naturally increased her savings without feeling deprived.
That's actually really smart because then it's not about restricting yourself.
Yeah.
It's about designing a life that you can actually afford.
Exactly. And it ties into another important point. Awareness. Cait spent an entire year meticulously tracking her spending before even starting the ban.
Which, it wasn't about judgment.
Right.
It was about understanding her habits.
Yeah, it's like shining a light on those unconscious spending patterns that we all develop.
Totally.
Like grabbing coffee here, new gadget there, it all adds up.
It does.
But tracking expenses, that can be daunting.
Yeah.
Did Cait offer any tips on how to make this process a little less painful?
Yeah. She suggests starting small.
Okay.
So maybe focus on one category at a time, like groceries or entertainment. And don't get bogged down in the details. Even just a simple notepad or spreadsheet can be enough to get started.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. The key is consistency and honesty with yourself.
Speaking of honesty, Cait's really open in the book about the emotional side of spending.
Oh, yeah.
She admits to using shopping as a coping mechanism.
It's so relatable. We all have those moments when we just want to buy something to distract ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Stress, boredom, loneliness.
Yeah. Cait's experience really highlights the importance of addressing those underlying emotional needs.
It's true. Sometimes our spending habits are a symptom of something deeper. We're trying to fill a void with stuff when what we really need is self-care, connection, maybe even therapy.
Absolutely. Now, remember how we talked about Cait allowing herself to travel during the shopping ban?
Yeah.
Well, there was another experiment that kind of emerged during this year of less, a 30-day TV ban.
A TV ban. Okay. At first glance, that seems kind of unrelated.
Yeah.
but I have a feeling it's all connected somehow.
Oh, it is, because she realized that she was using television in much the same way she was using shopping and alcohol to kind of numb out and avoid dealing with her emotions.
It's fascinating how these different forms of consumption can be so intertwined, isn't it?
Yeah.
We think we're just relaxing, enjoying ourselves.
Right.
But sometimes it's more about escaping reality.
Exactly. And by cutting out television, she not only freed up like a significant amount of time, but she also forced herself to kind of confront those uncomfortable feelings head on.
This actually really resonates with me because I recently tried a mini digital detox, and it was amazing how much more time I had for things I actually enjoyed, like reading, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones.
Yeah, it's those activities that truly enrich our lives, right? Cait talks about how she replaced that mindless TV time with things like podcasts and audiobooks, even writing.
Oh, interesting.
So she was still consuming content, but it was content that stimulated her mind and helped her grow.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
It's not about, becoming a hermit and avoiding all forms of entertainment.
No, not at all.
It's about being more intentional with our choices and making sure they align with our values, our goals.
Absolutely.
Now, one theme that keeps popping up in Cait's story is this idea of having an accountability buddy.
Oh, yeah. Emma?
Tell me more about how that played out in her journey.
Yeah, so Cait really credits her best friend Emma with playing a crucial role in her success.
Okay.
Because Emma provided that unwavering support, celebrating her wins, encouraging her when she stumbled. But she also wasn't afraid to, call Cait out when she was tempted to slip up.
Oh, that's so important.
It's that perfect balance.
It's like tough love, but with compassion.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one thing to have self-discipline.
Right.
But it's so much easier when you have someone in your corner cheering you on.
Totally. It's about sharing your journey with someone who understands you, who supports you, who can give you that gentle nudge back on track when you're feeling lost or discouraged.
It reminds me of that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh, I love that.
So true. Now, throughout the book, Cait grapples with this concept of sunk cost, which comes up a lot in personal finance.
Yeah.
But it's not always clear what it means.
Right. So sunk cost refers to the money, time, or energy that you've already invested in something.
Okay.
And often we hold on to things, whether it's physical possessions or even relationships.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because we feel like we've put too much into them to let them go.
I totally get that. I'm sure we've all experienced that feeling of clinging to something that's no longer serving us because we don't want to admit we made a mistake.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like you wasted your time.
Exactly.
And this is where Cait's decluttering journey becomes so powerful because she realized that holding on to all those clothes she never wore, the gadgets she never used, the books she never read, it was actually weighing her down.
It's like those items become this physical manifestation of our past mistakes.
Yeah.
Constantly reminding us of the money we wasted.
The decisions we regret.
Exactly.
By letting go of those things, she was freeing herself from that burden of those sunk costs. It was a symbolic act of moving on and making space for something new and better. It's a reminder that sometimes, the bravest and most liberating thing we can do is to simply cut our losses and move forward.
It's about recognizing that those past investments, they don't define us.
Right.
We can learn from them, we can release them, and create a future that's more aligned with who we are today.
Absolutely. And, this idea of letting go, it extends beyond physical possessions, too.
Okay.
Cait also talks about the importance of releasing, those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
It's like decluttering our minds as well as our homes.
Now, while The Year of Less focuses primarily on personal finance and minimalism, it also touches on a deeper theme.
Yeah.
Cait's rediscovery of family connections and really her heritage.
And this is what makes her story so much more than just, a how-to guide.
Right.
It's like a deeply personal journey.
Exactly. One of the most touching aspects of the book is Cait's realization that she had missed out on learning these valuable skills and knowledge from her parents.
Really?
Yeah, she talks about regretting not engaging more with their hobbies and passions when she was younger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she specifically mentions things like gardening, sewing, DIY projects. She had this awakening to the value of those more traditional skills that had been passed down through generations.
I see. It's like she realized what she had missed out on.
Yeah. And, it's not just about the skills themselves. It's that connection, that sense of belonging that comes from sharing those activities with loved ones.
Makes sense.
Cait talks about how learning to change the oil in her car with her dad was more than just a practical lesson. It was an opportunity to bond with him and tap into his expertise.
That's a beautiful image.
It is.
It reminds us of the importance of those intergenerational connections and the wealth of knowledge that often goes untapped within our own families.
And, it's recognizing the value of those who came before us.
Yeah.
And honoring their legacy by, carrying forward those traditions and skills.
In a world that's so focused on individualism, it's a powerful reminder that strength and wisdom can be found in community.
Absolutely. And Cait's story really reminds us that our journey towards a more fulfilling life, it isn't just about what we acquire.
Right.
Or achieve,
It's about the relationships we cultivate, the values we embrace.
Absolutely. And, while her shopping ban was a year-long experiment, it's not about deprivation. It's about making those conscious choices and finding that sweet spot between, enjoying the things you value and avoiding that mindless consumption.
So it's not about living like a monk, never buying anything ever again.
Right.
It's about shifting your mindset.
Exactly.
Becoming more intentional.
Yeah, it's about asking yourself, does this purchase align with my values? Will it bring me lasting joy? Or am I just trying to fill a void with stuff?
Yeah, it's about making sure that your spending reflects who you are, what you want your life to be about.
Now, for those who are feeling inspired by Cait's story, maybe wondering if they could try something similar, here are a few practical tips to get started.
Give us those actionable takeaways.
So one of the simplest but most effective things you can do is to unsubscribe from those store newsletters.
Oh, yeah?
Unfollow retailers on social media.
Yeah.
It helps to reduce that constant temptation.
It's amazing how much our spending habits are influenced by, the messages we're exposed to.
Totally.
By curating the information we consume, we can make it easier to resist those impulse purchases.
Exactly. Another important step is to track your spending for at least 3 months.
Okay.
Just to get a clear picture of where your money is going. You can use a budgeting app, a spreadsheet, or even just a notebook.
Keep it simple.
The key is to be consistent.
Right.
And honest with yourself about those spending habits.
Yeah. And once you have that understanding of your spending patterns, you can start to identify okay, where can I cut back?
Right. Maybe reduce your discretionary spending, find cheaper alternatives, or just be more mindful.
Exactly.
And, Cait emphasizes finding an accountability buddy.
Oh, yeah.
This is someone who will support you on your journey.
Yeah, that's so key.
It could be a friend, a family member, or even a therapist. The key is finding someone who will provide both encouragement and accountability.
That's a good point. Having someone to cheer you on and to gently nudge you back on track can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Now, one of the most challenging aspects of a year of less is dealing with those social situations that kind of revolve around spending.
Oh, yeah.
Cait talks about how she had to navigate, dinners out with friends, invitations to shopping events, even weddings.
It's true. Our social lives are often intertwined with our spending habits.
Yeah. But it's important to remember that you don't have to compromise your goals to maintain those relationships.
That's such a good point.
Cait found those creative ways to participate without breaking the ban.
Okay, how?
So suggesting alternative activities, maybe going for a walk, having a potluck dinner. She also learned to be upfront with her friends.
Makes sense.
About her commitment to the challenge, which helped them understand and respect her boundaries.
It's a great example of how to communicate your needs.
Right.
Finding ways to connect with people that don't involve spending money.
Absolutely. Now, Cait's experience also highlights the importance of being mindful of the language we use when we talk about money.
Oh, okay.
She noticed how often she and her friends would say things like, I deserve this, or treat yourself.
Yeah, to justify purchases.
It's like giving ourselves permission to indulge without really considering the consequences.
Totally.
By becoming aware of those phrases and consciously choosing to use different language, we can start to shift our mindset.
It's recognizing that our words have power.
Absolutely.
And that by changing our language, we can change our thoughts and behaviors.
Now, one of the most powerful aspects of her story is her emphasis on community capital.
Community capital, okay.
She talks about how we often feel this need to own everything ourselves, when in reality, we could be sharing resources with our neighbors, friends, family.
Do you really need to buy a lawnmower you're only going to use a few times a year?
Exactly.
Couldn't you just borrow one from a neighbor?
Exactly. It's about being resourceful and recognizing that, within a community, we often have access to the things we need without having to buy them ourselves.
And it's not only more sustainable,
right?
It fosters that sense of connection.
Yeah, interdependence. Cait also points out that, buying less can actually lead to a richer life.
Yep.
Because by focusing on those experiences over material possessions, she found herself with more time and energy for things that truly mattered to her.
Like traveling, writing, spending time with loved ones.
Exactly.
It's a powerful reminder that happiness doesn't come from accumulating things.
No.
It comes from cultivating those meaningful relationships.
And pursuing our passion.
Exactly. And Cait's story has resonated with so many people because it speaks to this growing desire for simplicity, intentionality in our lives.
Yeah, we're bombarded with messages telling us we need more.
We do.
But deep down, I think we crave less.
We do.
It's like this yearning for a way to break free from that consumerist cycle and reclaim our time, our energy, our attention.
Cait's journey shows us that it's possible.
Yeah.
And that the rewards can be life-changing. Welcome back to our deep dive into Cait Flanders, The Year of Less. We've been unpacking her journey, the insights, the challenges, the triumphs. But one thing that really stands out to me is how relatable Cait is.
Oh, totally. She doesn't shy away from her imperfections at all.
Not at all.
She's open about her struggles with, overspending, alcohol dependence, even those moments when she just wanted to zone out with TV.
It's refreshing, isn't it? Because so many personal finance gurus out there, they present this picture perfect image, like they have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But Cait's, honestly, it makes her story so much more powerful, I think.
It does. It's like she's giving us permission to be human.
Yeah.
To acknowledge our struggles without shame.
Totally.
And it's especially interesting, I think, given her background.
Right.
She grew up in this financially savvy family, and yet she still fell into those traps.
Exactly. And it challenges that assumption that, knowledge alone is enough to overcome these ingrained habits or these emotional patterns.
Totally.
Sometimes we need more than just a budget spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We need to address the underlying reasons for our behaviors. And Kamesi's willingness to be so vulnerable, it really creates space for others to do the same.
Yeah.
Because it can be really isolating to feel like you're the only one struggling.
It's true. There's so much shame around money.
Yeah.
And, making bad decisions. It's like she's breaking down that stigma. By sharing her story, she's saying, hey, it's okay to not have it all figured out. We're all works in progress.
Exactly. And her story is a testament to the fact that change is possible.
It is.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
But, one small step at a time.
One step at a time.
Can lead to amazing transformation.
Yeah.
Speaking of change, one of the biggest questions people have after reading The Year of Less is, did it stick?
Right. Did she revert back to her old ways once the year was over?
Exactly. So did she. Well, the answer, like with most things in life, is nuanced.
Okay.
Cait continued to be mindful of her spending after the ban ended. But she also acknowledged that rigidity isn't always realistic.
It's not sustainable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about living in a perpetual state of deprivation.
Right. Exactly.
Cait realized that, supporting her friends' businesses, buying things she genuinely needed, these weren't failures.
Right.
This was part of living a balanced life.
It's about finding that middle ground.
Yeah. Being intentional, but not obsessive.
Exactly.
And one decision that surprised a lot of people was Cait's choice to actually stop blogging after the shopping ban.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is interesting because you'd think, blogging would be this perfect platform to share her experiences, build a following. What do you think led her to that decision?
Well, blogging, while it can be a powerful tool, it can also be incredibly demanding.
It can be?
Constant content creation, engagement, keeping up with the trends, it's a lot. And Cait realized, I think, that it was actually taking her away from deeper work that she wanted to do.
Like writing her book.
Exactly.
So it's almost like she was trading depth for breadth.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Blogging kind of kept her in this cycle of short-term thinking.
Yeah.
And she was yearning for something more substantial.
That makes sense.
So by stepping away from that pressure to constantly produce,
yeah,
she was able to create space for these bigger projects to emerge.
It reminds us that sometimes subtraction is the key to growth.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, throughout our deep dive, we've been exploring these concepts of minimalism, intentionality, but it's important to remember these aren't one-size-fits-all solutions.
Definitely not. There's no right or wrong way to approach these concepts. It's about finding what works for you.
What brings you joy? What aligns with your values?
Exactly.
For some people, that might mean owning very few possessions.
Yeah.
For others, it might just be about being more mindful about their purchases and decluttering regularly.
Right. It's personal.
The key is to tune in to your own needs.
Absolutely.
Create a lifestyle that feels authentic and fulfilling. And it's not just about physical possessions either.
No, it's not.
As Cait discovered with her TV ban, the principles of minimalism and intentionality, they can apply to so many other areas of our lives.
Especially in today's world.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we're constantly bombarded with information, distractions from our devices. It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
So how do we apply those principles of less is more to our digital lives?
Well, imagine taking a digital inventory.
Okay, I like this.
What email subscriptions are no longer serving you? What social media accounts just drain your energy
Ooh, yeah.
or trigger those negative emotions? Could you benefit from setting boundaries around your screen time?
It's like a digital declutter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Creating space for peace and focus. By consciously choosing what we allow into our digital space, we can reclaim our time and attention.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the year of less, I want to leave you with this. Could you benefit from a year of less? Even if it's not, a full-blown shopping ban, what small changes could you make?
Right.
To create more space?
In your home, your schedule, your digital life.
Remember, it's not about deprivation, it's about intentionality, mindfulness.
And making choices that align with your values.
Exactly. And by letting go of the things that no longer serve us, we create room for something new.
Something better.
And that's the beauty of Cait's story. It's not just about saving money or decluttering. It's about that transformative power of choosing less and discovering the abundance that lies within. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to embark on your own journey towards a more intentional and fulfilling life.